First of all, thank you very much. Very happy to be here. Uh, well, this picture, of course, she's doing a pose, but it's exactly the way she worked in the living room with her typewriter in her lap. And everybody was around, the children and the maids and uh, everything, the telephone. She didn't stay apart to do her writing. Um, so this is really a funny picture to have this idea of the typewriter on your lap, which is not that comfortable, but that is a kind of a Clarice's brand. She was known for that. Uh, and uh, later on, she used to wake up very early in the morning, let's say like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, get her coffee in a thermo that the maid left in the day before, and then I heard her typing from my room. So it was a very nice noise to to hear. I knew my mother was working, and the sound of the typewriter. Most people don't know what is a typewriter nowadays because everybody uses computers, but it sounded like raindrops on the window. So um, a few years ago, I heard some raindrops on a window. I thought, well, maybe it's my mother typewriting. So that is what it remember. Well, I think that an easy approach would be from the chronicles and the short stories. I recommend very much the most recent short stories that are very modern and easy to understand. And then you could go further on to read The Hour of the Star, and which is not that difficult. And then when you are very mature, you go to The Passion According to GH, and then I think you're Clarice in Clarice's team by then. But her language is not common even in Portuguese. She mixes up the words in another sense. Uh, it's a little bit like reading poetry. You uh, you get the sounds of the words, how they get together, and it's more of a feeling. You don't have to understand it with your brain, but you feel it with your heart, and then it's a composition of brain and heart. So it's you have to put yourself in a different position to start. It's not uh, so easy,
Yes.
but it's worthwhile.
Absolutely.
Yes, I started my when my mother died. I was 23, and before that, she even didn't want me to read her books. I really started after she died. I read the mostly the columns in Jornal do Brasil, the chronicles, and sometimes one short story or another. Um, Even that when there was a play based on the near to the Wild Heart, uh, she didn't let me go. As in the introduction to The Passion According to GH, she says quite in a decisive mode, this book is to be read by people with the soul already formed. So definitely I was not formed. I read it later. And many people from uh, are doing nowadays movies from the novels, and one of this is almost impossible to think how would you do it, but it was done. Is The Passion According to GH, which was is ready. I saw it many times, but due to the pandemic, it was not released yet. So next year, certainly you will have that. And it's very impacting. It's half Alfred Hitchcock, half Antonioni from
Wow.
Italy. It's
Wow.
surprising. Yes, what I did in this afterword was clarify that Clarice had a very important social questioning. Living in Brazil, it's impossible not to have this. But she wrote mostly introspective books. But this doesn't mean that she was not aware of the hardness of Brazilian life for the least people that are not so well established. Just a small correction. Clarice studied law, but never practiced. So she was not, in fact, a lawyer. She studied law, and during the law school, she had jobs as a translator, as a journalist, but never practiced law. But she was interested in social justice. And then I go on in many other texts that she has that I put together explaining how her participation in this social question was existing, because many people were surprised that only in her last book she would take care of this matter. If you look at The Passion According to G.H., it's also a very there's a very social question in the script. You can say that the, the character G.H. had a maid, and that she never recognized the maid, who in fact was black, and already makes a difference, but she didn't even remember her name. So it makes how social classes were separate in Brazil, and the server was black and not noticeable. Yes, she was always listening to classical music, so we had that all around. Uh, I would say Beethoven was very popular. Uh, Maybe strong composers like Beethoven or Rachmaninoff. Uh, Sometimes something lighter like Chopin or Debussy, but she either had her records, and this is all in the archives available for anybody to check, or even she would listen to the classical music station Brazil that is very good. And so music was never popular music, always. Uh, and sometimes we shared the records, and in some books she even uh, put some remarks about the. She talks a lot about music. In the introduction of The Hour of the Star, you have all the composers she thinks about. Yes, we have been working on the letters almost 20 years now, and then we have been adding new letters. And recently we made a professional research in archives and public and private archives, and we found a lot of very interesting things. Half of the book is are letters to my aunts, Clarice's sisters, and to myself. So you have a lot of family uh, questions. But you also have letters to fellow writers, and uh, why does somebody write letters? Because she lived almost 20 years abroad. So she missed too much her family and friends, and writing letters was a way to be in touch. And what I like most of the letters, and this is why I'm so enthusiastic to publish, is that they were never intended to be published, and they were never revised. They were just on the flow of the pen, and it's something really magical how she had this dominance over the words, and whatever she wrote sounded very, very special. And not when she was writing a book which was a brainy thing, you had the heart, but it's very important to see a letter that was never meant to be published. So it was published in Brazil. It was part was already published in France and in Spain and Portugal, and somehow it's already contracted to be published in the United States. I really think it will make an event. The fun of this book is that all children ask. I have a granddaughter. She read the book and she comes to me with many solutions. So it's an open question, and everybody is right to give her, because it's an unsolved mystery. So this letter is curious because we found it in the National Library of Portugal. So we looked everywhere, and it's a very early letter when she started to be abroad, and then she writes to Natércia that traveling is going from one place and coming back, going to one place and coming back. Not what I am doing. I will be in a prison. She felt that being abroad was a prison, and Naples was just her first stop. She was there during the war, and then she rested almost 20 years abroad. So this letter is very important because she already saw how hard it would be. So 20 years later, she took the decision to come back to Brazil and move on from here. Well, one of the sentences that's very much repeated in Portuguese, liberdade é pouco, o que eu quero ainda não tem nome. Liberty is not enough. What I want has not a name yet. So it's quite important. But as a mother, she always told us something like, don't worry, if God takes care of the little birds, God will take care of you too.